And where I was, where I was coming from was in any experience, there is the experience, there is the experiencer, and the one and the experienced, right? I am experiencing something, whatever it is, and so the experiences can change, but the experiencer remains the same. Not only that, this is my way of interpreting it. Again, I'm not challenging what you were suggesting. I'm just sharing a slightly different view on something different, perhaps. But before the experience, the experience was the same and one. During the experience, the experiencer, is still the same and only one. And after the experience, the experience, is still the very same one that was during the experience and before the experience, the same and only one. And so I have remained constant throughout the stages of experience, or the absence or the presence of experience. The experiences themselves may be present or absent or different or change, but I and the experience are not the same. I'm experiencing something else, and so I don't have to become two. In order to experience something, I don't have to become two. Experiences can become 2, 3, 4 millions, but I am still the same, is how I was thinking when we were talking about that. And so I and the experience in these two, I am the spiritual. Experiences are material because they are temporal, they are temporary, they are dependent, they are triggered and activated, and they have a lifespan and a life cycle within that, all of that. So there's that. The material aspect is the experience itself, but the experiencer is the spiritual aspect of it. Is how I was thinking. Is why I raised that. नहीं ऐसी कोई बात नहीं. So first of all, just so I clarify it, I'm not मैं कोई समाधि वाला आदमी नहीं. I don't know. I cannot invalidate that. But the reason I brought that up is first of all, when you say I agree that the inhaling, the exhaling, and God can be experienced in between those two states. It's not that that's where God lives, between the construction and destruction stage. My interpretation is, I think, clearer and broader and more inclusive than that. My problem with the way this is expressed is that God lives between the creative and the destructive stage. I have a big problem with that, because then that means that in the creation stage, God does not exist, or in the destructive stage, God does not exist, and God, like a timid person, is hiding somewhere in a gap, only to be revealed when there is nothing going on. I think exactly the opposite of it, that God always, boldly, fearlessly exists. It is the stupid propensity to always construct something or destruct something that distracts us from seeing God in our face. He's right there the whole time. हम लोग इतने wrapped up है inhaling and exhalation में, activities में, construction में, destruction में, thinking में, कुछ कहने में, करने में, सोचने में, देने में, लेने में, कि समय नहीं है, perception ही नहीं है. समय तो छोड़ो, this is not even a matter of time, but we're not focused on that singularity, on the only thing that exists, on that matters. We're only dancing on the surface waves. We're not seeing the ocean. So it is all along God alone that existed and that exists. It's that when we are in that stage between the inhalation and the exhalation, where we're neither inhaling nor exhaling, there is a pin drop silence, there is a moment of silence, is when we're finally got one moment where for that split moment, we become one with Him. We've identified with that state of mind and think, oh, this is where God is. This is who God is. This is what God is. Well, that God always existed. I could not exist without that God. There could be no freaking inhalation, exhalation. There is no air. There is no nose. There's nothing. Nothing can exist without first the basis of it all, the foundation of it all, the source of it all, the power of it all, the reality, the truth of it all, first and foremost existing all along. एक क्षण के लिए भगवान कहीं निकल जाए तो सारा संसार तितर बितर हो जाए, never to be found again, इतने हजारों करोड़ों fragments में spread हो जाए. So it is only through his power, his force, his unity, his oneness, his glue, his bond, his strength, his might, his prowess, that everything is held together. But it is that between inhalation, exhalation, श्वास और श्वास के बीच में हम लोग थोड़े समय के लिए, and my understanding of Samadhi, I might say that I've experienced some glimpses of it, but I would never call myself someone who has experienced Samadhi, not until I actually do, is that one might say कि एक moment के लिए मैंने experience किया भगवान को inhalation or exhalation में. But if I, and I'm speaking of me right now, if I have been able to still my mind and stay quiet, undisturbed, unperturbed for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, and when I came out of it, it was as if I came from a different world, the experience. But then I liken it to probably लोगों को जब समाधि होती होगी, मेरा विचार है शायद ऐसे ही होता होगा, except और लंबे समय तक. Whatever they say, who knows, I don't know. I believe, but I don't know for a fact कि 72 घंटे की समाधि, 24 घंटे की समाधि जरूर होता होगा, हो सकता होगा. I have no reason to doubt कि वो एक बार समाधिस्थ हो गए, ध्यानस्थ हो गए और इतने फोकस हो गए, इतने यूनिसन में हो गए, इतने वननेस हो गया सिंगुलैरिटी के साथ. Let nothing disturb them for a long time, and when they were disturbed, when they got disturbed, then they came back again. It's not that they had gone somewhere, now they came back. पहले ऐसे थे वैसे थे, कुछ नहीं हुआ, कुछ चेंज कुछ ही नहीं हुआ, खाली state of mind united with its original nature, with its उसका स्वभाव जो है, its real nature जो है, non-corrupt, uncontaminated state में फिर चला गया था, which is the default setting. But it's been currently grossly contaminated, majorly disrupted through the sights and the sound and the smells and the touch and all of that, constantly being drawn by the senses and the mind packaging it. So it's not exactly relevant to your question, but it was just a reaction that I felt like I should share about how I perceive Samadhi and how I see God residing in that gap. Is not the full way to describe it. The full way for me is that God always resides everywhere. We go there in that gap and feel like, oh, that's where God is. Well, God is everywhere, every moment. I have figured a way in that moment to catch a glimpse of Him. Hope that makes sense, Tarun. नहीं, because I've heard many people say that. ऐसा नहीं भैया. नहीं, इसमें सॉरी की तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. We're just one same person talking to himself, right? But then, if you agree, then that would mean that God always is. Right? God always is, and God always is at all places, at all times, in every circumstance. Right?